So then we are back with more understandings from the time of the Second Tabernacle. Services are refined in the Aramaic English translation of the word. This translation comes from the original manuscripts of the prophets of the Israelic lineage. So then we can understand the time of the end as per Yirmiyahu the prophet, the 61st chapter. Then the prophet did mention regarding the spring feast, autumn feast, and returning of the holy cities of the Messiah laid waste for many centuries. And then during this time of the transition of governments, because of the inclusion of the Gentiles in the Holy Plan, there are many questions regarding then the Syrian conflict. However, we don't find any reference in the Holy Instructions. It is very imperative understanding where then the help comes from. So let's try then an evaluation very simply from then Daniel the 11th chapter. We understand Daniel from the Israelic lineage give us then the understanding of the base of the statue of the second chapter of Daniel, where then iron does not mix with the clay. The iron and clay started when the Roman Empire obviously then was dismantled. Later on then came the after 2009, where then the 1,000 years of the city then was ended. Then there is a refinement of this iron and clay, giving us then the understanding of the kingdom of the north and south. And then Baal and the dragon comes then a couple of chapters later, where you'll find the continuation of the Holy Instruction from the Apocrypha. So then gives you the understanding of the east, the kingdom of the east, kingdom of the north from the 11th chapter, and kingdom of the south. So these situations going on in the world, what can we understand from the Holy Instructions as from Daniel the 11th chapter? Because we are speaking of a Gentile level. Conflicts of Gentile level. During the time of the restoration period, not only of the holy cities of the Messiah, and the first is in the land of Cush, but then Gentiles included in the plan. What can we understand from the kingdom of the east, north, and south when they confront what the world is giving them? So then obviously we find the kingdom of the north as managers of the Chinese. Let's understand why. Because China in the Asia market, those are then what we know as dragon. Dragon simply means precision. It's a system then where it started after 2009, trade via computer. Why do we speak of trade? Because the stick of authority of trade must be later given to the Ishmaelites. So then let's hold for a moment. So then during this period of roughly 20 years, when then the cities they return, then the conflicts must also be resolved via those countries or kingdoms, east, north, and south. We are speaking of then mostly religion. Syria is also a country related with religion. Other than the system of the dragon of the east, it is involved with Babylonian tradition. Is it not? It is. What do we understand of the Babylonian system, or then from Baal? Baal we read then a couple of chapters later in the Apocrypha. Baal and the dragon. The dragon is east, must remain then secluded. Through whom then would this system be filtered? Obviously the kingdom of the north, Soviet Union. So then Mr. Putin mentioned the best way of doing this quite some time ago would be then not the exclusion of the existing system of Syria, but the refurbishment, where then the system would be maintained as it is, and the president obviously must be maintained, at least so they can organize another form of politics in the country. Our president of the United States was wrong. His idea of then the president must go kind of was reflected on him. Maybe our president should go. Because we no longer make decisions of those nations. You don't find West in the 11th chapter of Daniel, do you? No, you find East, you find North, and you find South. Syria is from a Babylonian culture, Babylonian tradition. How is then the world is being filtered through as then trade is restarting? You filtered through the northern kingdom. So what is the solution for this problem? It's not then forcing the president out. It is maintaining the existing system and working with the northern kingdom, the Soviet Union, and then filtering or refurbishing the system so then later a change of politics can be implemented. Syria is very deadly. They have many weapons yet, and some of them very deadly, chemical weapons, and they are already using it. Can you imagine with a potent rocket what it would do? So it's not worth it. So we should be sensitive of the input of Mr. Putin and do what he said to do. It's obvious, maintaining the existing system, then scale down this fight, and then come up with a resolution of the politics later. There is no other solution. The containment and control no longer comes from the West. We are no longer during the time of the 1,000 years of deceit. We've entered another schedule or another agenda where Daniel then mentioned of the kingdom of the north, kingdom of the south. Why do we read the 11th chapter as the kingdom of the north? Because it relates with the preparation for the Chinese system. Direct trade, does BRICS. So our president was wrong. The Syrian system must be maintained, must be refurbished. They must come up with a solution. The government of Syria is very strong yet, and because of the weapons, deadly weapons, chemical weapons. So is it worth it then destroying thousands upon thousands of people because of a system where it can be refurbished?